Hi everyone, and welcome to the lesson. When we think about the experience of transitioning to university, the idea of culture is a helpful metaphor. But what is academic culture? Jean Brick's definition is useful here. She defines academic culture as the attitudes, values, and ways of behaving that are shared by the people who work or study in universities. So here we're starting to get this idea of academic culture as a community, with particular ways of thinking about things, doing things, and also valuing certain things. But what are these core values that make up academic culture? Among the core values of academic culture are things like research skills, critical thinking, digital literacy, and the ability to communicate in different forms for an academic context, along with many more values. We spoke to some academics to find out how they define academic culture and its core values.
Academic knowledge is shaped by our core mission through a shared understanding that we've developed over many years of the ways to advance the discovery and sharing of knowledge. I'd mention 4 things. The first is the contingent nature of knowledge, the fact that at any moment our understanding of the world may be turned upside down by new discoveries, and therefore the need to be open always to alternative perspectives, new ideas, and critical reflection by ourselves and others. The second is the importance of scholarly rigour and the need to be able to explain to others with care and precision on whose work we're drawing, the assumptions we're making, the lines of reasoning that we're taking, and the evidence that we're bringing to bear to make an inference. The third is the recognition that knowledge, discovery and sharing is a collective enterprise, that discovery is enhanced through collaboration, through publication and sharing of ideas, and the importance of review by peers of our work. The final one is a recognition that understanding is enhanced through the bringing together of different perspectives, the idea that new ideas and approaches often come by putting together things that are very different, whether they come from different disciplines or different cultures.
So academic culture is a shared set of ideas. It's about generating knowledge. It's about generating new knowledge and new discoveries. That might be medicines, it might be technology, it might be a poem, but it's about respecting ideas and respecting knowledge.
Academic culture is actually a very broad concept, but fundamentally it can be brought down to a way of thinking. So this is about the beliefs, core values, and expectations that are shared in an academic community. And these core beliefs and expectations actually underpin the way we think, the way we study, the way we work throughout our university life.
Academic culture is a very interesting thing to describe, and it's quite difficult, but one way that I help to conceptualize what academic culture is by describing it like an onion. You have different layers that you have to peel off, and each layer reveals something new. So you might have the outer layer of the onion, the cultural onion, so to speak, would be the environment that you are in. And then an additional smaller layer might be then the behaviors that you exhibit. And then inside, in the very, very small part, is the core values and beliefs that you might have. So these would be values around what you study, values around what your background is, and values that you gain probably from your family.
So in academic life and in universities, it's all about expressing ideas about knowledge and developing knowledge. So when you're discussing knowledge, it's always very important to talk about where those ideas came from. Were they ideas that you generated, or are you building on somebody else's ideas? Did you take an idea from a paper? Did you take an idea from a website, from a newspaper, from a film? If you took an idea from somewhere else, then it's not your idea, and it's important to make sure you reference where that idea came from. And then when you develop ideas, when you develop new knowledge, you'll expect your name to be associated with that, and people will build on your ideas and they'll reference you.
Independent learning is also a core expectation of academic culture. Students are expected to work on their own, to research and develop their ideas and present their ideas in assignments. Lecturers are considered more as facilitators rather than teachers, and it's important to realise that they won't always be there to hold your hand and to teach you, that a lot of that onus actually falls on yourself, and that's very, very important.
So central to academic culture is critical thinking. Now, critical thinking isn't like being critical of people as we have in the rest of our lives. It's not about pulling people apart and being nasty to them. Critical thinking is about taking an idea, not a person, an idea, and analysing it, taking your current set of knowledge, your current set of ideas that you have, and trying to investigate whether that idea makes sense and whether you can improve it. Can we improve it? Can we discover new knowledge?
Core values and expectations of academic culture, I would say probably number one would be inquiry, would be the sense that we're trying to find things out. We're trying to discover new knowledge. That's what we do research for. We're trying to find out new facts. That's probably the central one. Another one that's really crucial is clarity of expression in communicating those facts. So we find out things through our research, and a major thing of what we do in academic culture is communicate them. So we need to be able to communicate them with clarity, whether we're teaching or whether we're talking to the public or talking to people about what we do. And then I think a third thing would be that we need to be able to apply that knowledge, and part of the culture is to think about ways to do that, think about ways to not just communicate things, but figure out ways in which we can take our findings and improve things, improve the world, lead to new discoveries, build on what we've done.
So assessment at university is not quite like in other places, because it's all about ideas. It's not just going to be about memorising facts. It can't just be about learning what's in your lecture or learning what's in a book. It's got to be about thinking about that idea, thinking about those facts and taking them somewhere new. And so don't just expect to be able to memorise things. You've really got to be able to talk about it from your own point of view and express your thoughts on what the question is asking.
And finally, I'd mention a responsibility for ethical and positive contribution. We need to use our knowledge in ways that are ethical and make a positive contribution to the communities to which we belong, whether they're local, regional or global.
So now we've got some ideas about what academic culture is and its core values. Let's have a think about you and your transition into this culture. You already know lots of things about different topics and have skills and ideas about learning, and you should bring all this prior knowledge to your studies. What we aim to do in this course is to build on these existing skills and help you not only to develop new skills, but also help you become familiar with the attitudes, values, and ways of behaving within academic culture. So even though we've looked at a general definition of academic culture in this lesson, the whole course will investigate this in greater detail. In doing this, we hope to support you not only in surviving, but in fully participating and getting the most out of university. When you start university, you'll have lots of questions. And when you finish university, you may have even more questions. But the important thing to remember is that learning is lifelong and that you'll always be developing and building on your skills throughout university and in the world beyond.